What's up, everybody? Dr. JP Guidry here. Hope everybody's doing well today. I wanted to talk a little bit about physical prep for golf for specific to junior golfers. I've worked with junior golfers of all ages, high school, going into college, middle school, if you will, going into high school, and then even lower level junior golfers, just kind of building kind of a movement profile and getting them to learn the basic movements and build just some basic athleticism. And there's some kind of basic principles that I stick with when we're talking about, long-term athletic development, which is really kind of the goal when you're talking with juniors. The older they get, the more specified we're going to get in strength training and power training and golf specific quote unquote stuff. But we're still trying to develop. My end goal with any golfer I work with is to, number one, make sure they have fun. Number two, help them build a love for the sport and a love for fitness and exercise that will go beyond even potentially their competitive playing days. And lastly, develop them as athletes so that when they get to the next level, they're ready for whatever comes to them. So some of these principles, the first one is what I call building a movement knowledge base. So this is where we start earlier on, and I'm just kind of letting them explore some of the basic movements. So we look at squatting, lunging, push-ups, rows. We'll look at, throwing, kicking, jumping, landing, those type of things where they're just kind of learning how to do those things. We don't necessarily load them at all. If we do, not super heavy, but just more getting them comfortable with the movements, learning the basics, and kind of getting some more body awareness, if you will, and coordination, athleticism. And kind of to piggyback that is on top of that, helping them build a well-rounded athletic base. So, obviously the biggest thing I try to promote to my kids is to play multiple sports, especially at early ages. Not all of them do, and that's fine. Some of them, it's, they just enjoy one sport, they enjoy the game of golf, and so I try to provide some of that athleticism and those things that the other sports will provide. So we work on throwing, we work on kicking, we work on sprinting, we work on jumping, we work on catching. So all these things that are gonna, build hand-eye coordination, build body awareness, build sequencing, and just I think are basic tools that we should have and basic abilities we should have as human beings. Even as we get into adults, we start to lose some of these abilities. And I think doing these things is just as important as an adult as it is learning them as a child. Number three, so as we start to get a little older, they start to develop a little more. We start building a strength and a power base. So we're going to work on those basic movements. We're going to start to load them once they get comfortable with them. We're going to squat, we're going to deadlift, we're going to lunge, we're going to press, we're going to row, we're going to do pull-ups, things like that. We're going to start to get them strong in those movements. We're going to start to learn how to develop power and rate of force development. So that's going to be jumping, that's going to be medicine ball throws, that's going to be some, potentially some Olympic lift derivatives and things like that, where we're teaching them to move and implement faster and with force. Number four, nutrition. So when we talk about nutrition for junior athletes, and now we're getting probably more into high school age and above, we really start with eating for performance. That's the number one goal. So if you're a golfer or an athlete of any sport, my number one goal is to educate you on how to eat for performance. So how to fuel your body to be able to perform in the gym, perform on the course, the court, the field, whatever. And so you kind of learn how to eat generally, how to eat outside of play, how to eat during play. So, how to learn how to snack every 3 to 4 holes, during tournament rounds so that we kind of keep our energy level steady, what to snack on, what to eat the morning of, what to eat the night before, and just generally how to, learn how to fuel their bodies on off days, on practice days, on play days, on training days, so that they're getting the most out of everything. And don't get into the weeds with, certain type of diets or weight loss or things like that at that age. I think that can get a little sticky and really isn't necessary. But, as an athlete, your body needs to perform and needs to perform at the highest level, and how you fuel it is a big part of that. Number five, for golfers, definitely letting them get comfortable swinging fast. So I want them to get comfortable going all out as a golf ball. I have a feeling, I have a kind of saying that I think that's the best thing you can teach a junior golfer early on is to get them comfortable swinging fast. Because as they get older, you can start to reel that in and narrow that dispersion and work on some mechanics and finding the center of the face and things like that. But it's much harder to teach speed the older they get, and especially in adults, because now you've built that habit of worrying about where the ball goes, and the brain starts to take over and you start to put a governor on your swing. So I want to take that governor off at an early age, and I want them to be comfortable swinging fast and swinging with maximum intent. Number 6, as I talked about in the beginning, in the end, my number one goal is for them, to have fun and to build a love for sports, to build a love for athletics, to build a love for fitness. I played multiple sports growing up, which, is a big reason that led me into the field that I am of strength and conditioning and physical therapy, and was kind of the base for falling in love with lifting weights and training and kind of seeing how far I could push my body and get out of it. So, there's so many benefits to that as a child, to sports as a child, team sports, individual sports, a lot of life lessons in those things if you allow it to happen. Building a base of healthiness at an early age will truly benefit you as you get older, as you get into your 20s and 30s, and where that kind of age-related changes start to take place. You've got a love for that thing. You've built the habits, you've built the consistency, and so now you can really build a healthy lifestyle around that. So that's a huge goal of mine when I start working with junior athletes. Is the main thing. We want to put in the work, we want to get results, but ultimately I want them to have an enjoyment and a love for these things. And lastly, I talked about this a little bit in the last one, but number 7 is have fun. So I like to have games, I like to have competitions. Again, we do the work when the work is necessary, but I like to keep it fairly light, especially with the younger athletes, but even when we get into high school and college, I want this to be an enjoyable experience. I want them to have fun. They should be having fun on the course, they should be having fun when they're practicing, they should be having fun when they're training to some degree. Otherwise, it's just going to become a grind, and at some point, for most kids, that's going to become too much. Not everybody's a Tiger Woods. He's probably more the exception than the rule of, just beating balls and grinding it out of the dirt day in and day out. There's a benefit to that if that's your personality, but for most kids, we want to put in the work, we want to get results, we want to see improvement, but we want to make sure they're having fun. We want to make sure they fall in love with the game of golf, and definitely don't fall out of love with it because of being pushed or being trained too hard or whatever that may be. As a father of 2 kids myself, mine are still fairly young, so they're not at these levels yet. But, I want to hope to take the same kind of principles into, their approach to sports and athleticism and health and fitness and so on and so forth. So, I really enjoy being a part of the juniors. I work with lives and their families, and, seeing them grow up and seeing them mature, and hopefully I can be some kind of a positive influence in their life, and help build some positive values, around sport, around fitness, and just around life in general. I love working with golfers, I love working with athletes, I love working with kids, and I really love working with golfers of all ages. But, as a father, and someone that's worked with juniors for a little while now, I really have a passion of kind of building that long-term athletic development and watching them turn into young, mature adults and just good people. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in my work with juniors, I have in-person options, online options, hybrid in-person, online options. I've got juniors all over the United States I work with. I've got juniors here locally in kind of Louisiana, Mississippi area that I work with as well in person. But reach out to me. You can email me at johnpaul@guidrypt.com. You can head to my website at guidrygolfandsport.com, or you can always comment on the video or direct message me on any of the social media platforms. And I'm pretty quick to respond to all of those methods. So hope everybody has a great day, and hope everybody was able to take a little bit from this video.